to the ScamSlam channel. I'm here to bring you content from both shady and some not so shady individuals on TikTok. Ever scrolled through your For You page and come across a sketchy scam or a questionable character? Well, you're not alone, and that's where I come in. On this channel, I'll be diving deep into the world of TikTok to expose scams, scammers, and problematic content to steer clear of. From beggars, scammers, fakers, liars, abusers, and awareness creators that you watch, I'll be here to share it all. I'll be doing it all through showing live streams and adding in comments where appropriate. Be sure to look out for those red flags. So if you want to stay informed on what's really going on in the world of TikTok, then hit that subscribe button and join me on this wild ride. Let's expose the truth together, and reminder, don't send money to anyone on TikTok.
Oh. Holy crap, I'm in hell. Oh. Hello, hello. Hang on a second. Oh, ow. I'm so fucking sore. I hurt so bad, man. Hello, hello. Oh, Lord have mercy. How is everyone doing? I figure I have a couple hours before I have my, before they pick me up from my pulmonologist appointment. I might as well go live. Fuck it, why not? There we go. So, how is everything? I've been doing a lot of thinking lately because you know how my brain works. I have a detective mind, I can't shut it off. After thinking about it, yes, Carol looks like the suspect, but so does Sue. Now, Carol's 5'2". Yes, even with short hair, if she was dressed like a man, you're gonna still think that's most likely a woman, correct? But if the woman was 5'8", dressed like a man, if the woman was 5'8", dressed like a man, but I was going, I'm like, how the hell would, like, they were here, but why would they have been in Germany? Then I thought about it. November 28th, 1981. When was Thanksgiving in November of 1981? It was November 26th. The family could have very well gone over there for Thanksgiving, to spend Thanksgiving together. And then 2 days later, And then when I woke up in the backseat of that car, that could have been in the parking lot after they put me in the car. And Sue and Jack would have been the ones in the front seat having the conversation. Sue was 5'8". They're all mentally ill in that family, but she had the most mental illness of all of them. Shade's prime example. I had the conversation with my doctor yesterday, and I did bring it up. I said, I've read your notes. I said, in the notes you put normal behavior, normal everything, but then delusional thoughts. And I asked him, and he's like, well, being kidnapped, saying you're kidnapped and everything. So we did a little show and tell. And I showed him the documents, and Alta and Howard. He's like, no, you're not in that picture. Who were they to you? I said, I grew up knowing them as my great-grandparents. Then I showed him the picture of the suspect, the picture of Carol, because I didn't have the picture of Sue with me. But he's typing, he's looking at the pictures, typing and everything, and I'm telling him everything, and, a lot. And then I showed him the picture of Catrice as a baby and my daughters. And he looked, he continued typing. I said, this is me when I was little. I said, you're looking, right? He says, yeah, I am. I said, this is me when I was little. Then when I showed him this, I said, this is who they said I was. They claimed this is me. And when he looked up and he saw this picture, he stopped typing. And kind of jaw dropped a bit. And he, after everything, he changed all his notes. And took out all the parts where it said any delusional thoughts. And he explained everything. And he said, damn it, I don't know why I'm crying. But he said the reason he wants me to go to a psychiatrist, I said, why? So I can be put on a bunch of medication I don't need? He said, absolutely not. He said he wants me to be seen by a psychiatrist so we can put it on record that there's nothing wrong with me mentally. Sorry. But he wants it documented with all the doctors that there is nothing it sounds completely crazy and that, but it's very legit and there's nothing wrong with me. I showed the picture of Catrice and the age regression. I showed him the age regression. I had my hair up in a bun. I said, do I look like this? He's like, not really. And then I took my hair down. I said, are you sure? And he looked. He's like, yeah, is that you? And I said, that's the age progression of Catrice Lee, who went missing in 1981 on her second birthday. But as soon as he saw the picture of the girl in the red dress where they claimed that was me, he knew it wasn't me. You don't change that much in 1 to 2 years. You know? And doctors and nurses, medical personnel can tell with 2 pictures of children if it's the same child or not. Especially that close in age. You'll have to DM me. I don't know if I have your number on my phone or not. I'll have to look. There's nothing wrong with me. He even put it in his notes. The whole time I've been under his care, I've been mentally stable, everything, nothing wrong. Mentally. And not being on medication. So yeah. And he knows why I'm hesitant on going to any psychiatrist, and he knows why. Because the whole trust thing. After everything, how am I supposed to trust any doctors? And he gets that now. And, but, he's still... And he also said if I ever, if I feel the need that I, memories of that, if I need to, then go to the hospital if I need to. But that's not the case. So, yeah, he went back all the way to the beginning and changed all his notes. And explained everything in there. I said, having me go to the psychiatrist is like, and having the doctors all be on the same page and everything with what's going on, and making sure it's all documented that there is nothing mentally wrong with me. I was like, is that going to help get you, is that going to get you guys to get the FBI and that to do their fucking jobs? I said, they're the fucking lapdogs. And I think because I showed him the proof of those people on that, and I said, this is what it is, he knows that this is not a joke. I said, would you like me to play the phone conversation recordings I've had between me and FBI and that? But yeah, he didn't. I said, of course it's hard for anyone to believe. Nobody wants to believe that this is real, this really happened. It's like people don't understand. I'm still trying to come to terms with it, that it really did happen. And what I don't understand, if Sue is the one that took me, and they hate her, why, even now, do they protect her? Why not? Why didn't they turn her in? Why didn't they... Why protect her all these years later? Wait, I know, because they'll get in trouble. It's to save their own asses. I said, how do you think? I said, do you know what it's like being prescribed 30 different prescriptions, medications you don't need? Being on 100 pills a day, sleeping 23 out of 24 hours a day? He said, no. I said, I do. I still have no idea why I'm crying right now. Shit. This is why victims aren't believed. It's because we have to, if you're a victim, you have to prove everything. Otherwise, you're delusional and it never happened. But the perpetrator are like, oh, that didn't happen. That never happened. Oh, well then, yeah, she's lying. Never happened. That's what it's like. Oh, for fuck's sakes, who's calling me now? Oh, like it's a scam. Bueno. Bueno?
Hello.
Bueno?
Hi, my name is Jade. We're reaching out to seniors with unclaimed reimbursements left from 2025 Medicare plans. We're reviewing them now for
Reaching out to seniors. I'm not up there yet, bitches. I ain't up there yet. But he gave me the clearance for surgery, thankfully. He did ask me if I would need any home health care or whatever. I said no, and then I've been thinking about it since yesterday. I'm like, well, probably gonna need some help for the first week or two. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to heal and everything. I just said 2 weeks because 2-week checkup or whatever afterwards. So it's probably gonna take me longer, but I don't. It's hard for me to ask for help. And I'm not used to anybody taking care of me. So. But as it is, 2 days ago I worked out after 2.5 years of not working out. Threw myself back into it, did 2.5 miles on the treadmill, and then between 80 pounds to 100 pounds on 100 count of everything. Yeah, and I still can barely move 2 days later. I'm probably going to need some help, because this is surgery. This is worse than... There's going to be more pain than me lifting weights or doing it at the gym. So when I'm having problems just doing what I'm doing now, because of 2 days after overdoing it at the gym, I'm going to need help when I get out, after surgery. But the thing is, I don't know how to ask for help, and I gotta figure that out. So I gotta call the doctor's office. Yeah, I know he asked me if I would need help at home, and I probably said, well, I live alone, and I didn't say yes, but after thinking about it, I'm gonna need to. But yeah. So, maybe they protected her because Joan and Jack made them protect her. Well, good morning. Yeah, he said something about home health aid or something like that after surgery. So when I call, I'm gonna ask about it. 10 years ago, I was misdiagnosed with gastroparesis, and we found out that I have diverticulitis, and they should have known that back then. I was misdiagnosed with a lot of things. But I was also being poisoned at the same time back then, too. So I have this foreign object in my body that I don't need, and I didn't need, and it's been in there for, I have a second one now, but since 2016, I've had a foreign object in my body that I never needed. It's been off since December 11th or something like that. And I'm still able to eat normal and everything. Haven't been sick. Unless I eat something really, really spicy, then acid reflux. As long as I take omeprazole and whatnot, I'm alright. But, yeah. So I have a foreign object in my body that sticks out of my stomach, and that's what hurts, is where it pokes out. And I don't need it, never did. So I'm having surgery February 20th. And then after I heal up and everything and get the money together, I'm going overseas because I gotta go prove who I am because FBI, police, even Center for Missing and Exploited Children here in the States is fucking corrupt and they're the lapdogs. They will not help me. So I gotta go over there, request to talk to certain law enforcement and that to get a DNA test and hope to God that they believe me and take me seriously. So I can do this DNA test and prove who I really am. I have a appointment with the eye specialist in March to find out if I have the eye condition as same eye condition as Catrice Lee, or if I've ever had surgery on my eye, but that's like the last bit of other than DNA. The doctor changed his notes from, because he kept putting delusional, every normal behavior, normal speech, normal everything except thoughts delusional. It's like, so I talked to him about it yesterday and showed him evidence and everything. And I showed him the documents of the Masons and Eastern Star and Alta and Howard. And he's like, in the picture of Alta with the four of the people, the upside down pentagram behind her. Yeah, he's like, who are those people to you? You're not in that picture. I said, those are the people that I grew up knowing as my great-grandparents. Had a long chat with him. And I showed him pictures, and he's like, you're just showing me pictures. I was like, pay attention. Showed him the one of the age regression of Catrice. I said, does this look like me? He looked at it. My hair was in a bun. It's like, no, not really. And then I took my hair down, and I took my glasses off. I said, look again. Does this look like me? He's like, yeah, actually, is that you? I said, that's the age progression of a missing child. 44 years. So while I'm showing him all these pictures and everything, he's looking up, he's typing the whole time. Showed him the picture of the suspect, this picture of Carol, but I think it was Sue, not Carol, because Sue was 5'8". Carol was 5'2". And Sue had short hair until after they got me. Because I remember the first professional photo ever being taken of me with that family. I was wearing a sailor dress and I had short hair. And I think I was wearing glasses. Might not have been wearing glasses, but I'm pretty sure I was wearing glasses at the time. And Sue had short hair. But it was after that she started growing her hair. And her being 5'8", she'd be more likely to be mistaken for a man. And it being 2 days after Thanksgiving, they could have gone there for Thanksgiving to spend Thanksgiving with Carol and Bob, and that might be how it happened. And when I woke up in the backseat of the car, it could have been that day. Now I showed him this picture. I said, this is me when I was little. I said, you're looking, right? He's like, yeah. He looked up and he looked at it for a few moments. He says, yeah. I said, okay. They said, this is me. And he looked at it, and as soon as he saw this picture, he stopped typing and his mouth dropped open a bit. Because according to this picture, this is a 2-year-old. According to ChatGPT, I was about 3 years old in this picture. 3.5, something like that. So, this is not the same child. This is not the same child. These two pictures are two different children. Now we know this one's name. So what happened to this child? No, we didn't talk about pain management again. I was in the process of trying to convince him I'm not delusional, bitch, you know. But he realizes now I'm not. It is very serious. And, yeah, he changed his notes from delusional thoughts to explain everything. He said he wants me to see a psychiatrist. I said, why? So I could be put on a bunch of medications I don't need? He says, no, so we could get it documented that there's nothing mentally wrong with you. That you're not delusional. But he understands why I have trust issues and everything, and why I don't trust, you know. I talked to the surgeon's office about that. They're going to take care of that. I'm going to be taken care of when it comes to the whole pain management surgery thing. Now I just need to figure out, I gotta call the doctor today or tomorrow and say, or what, I don't even know what today is, Thursday, Friday, I don't know. I gotta call the doctor and say, yeah, I'm probably most likely gonna need help after surgery. I don't think I'm gonna be able to take care of myself. I'm so used to it. And I'm not used to asking for help, and I'm not, you know, or accepting help for that matter when it comes to being taken care of like that. So, because I'm still really sore from 2 days ago from just working out at the gym, overdoing it at the gym, and I'm having problems even moving right now, I think it's probably a good idea that I call the doctor and say, yeah, I'm going to need somebody to I'm going to need some help after surgery. You know, such a wonderful feeling. So, Sue's most likely the one that took me. When I woke up in the backseat of that car, it was Sue and Jack in the front seat. And I'm guessing they went over there for Thanksgiving. To spend Thanksgiving with Carol and Bob, the family did. And the only thing I can't figure out is if they all hate Sue like they claim, why would they protect her, and why wouldn't they have given me back? Why wouldn't they have turned her in or said, hey, we found this child, or something? Sue was the one I grew up knowing as my biological mom, yeah. 5'8". She was 5'8". Pretty sure she's still alive, though. But see, this is Sue. She could have easily worn her father's clothes, because her father was only a little taller than her. And she was heavier than Carol. November 28th, 1981, that was 2 days after Thanksgiving. So they could have been over there visiting. Which is the only way I could think of how else would she have fucking taken me, you know? Because Kira was 5'2", and she was thinner at that time, as far as I'm aware of. If you take the suspect, look at the suspect. Oh, I put the fucking camera. It's easier that way. Damn it. I said flip, bitch. I want to do what I want to do. Shit. Okay. Sue and the suspect. Now, Macy Marie, what do you mean by have I figured out my story yet? This isn't a story, this has to do with my life. I'm sorry you don't understand that or comprehend that. I'm still trying to... with Sue Slow. She had a lot of mental illness. Possibly. Because when I woke up in the backseat of that car, they were having that conversation. She said, what if she remembers? He said, don't worry, she's so young she won't remember. Make sure you take better care of this one than you did the others. She said it wasn't her fault the baby fell. And he said he didn't believe her because the first time. They started arguing, he hit her, and that's the last thing I remembered. And then I didn't remember anything for a long time until, the memory of running away, running up, getting up to the high school, that was the next memory I had. Up until a couple of years ago. And then I started remembering horrific things, and yeah. I found out in 1972 and 1973 she was on public assistance. Now, at that time, she would have been 13 years old. Why would a 13-year-old be on public assistance if they're pregnant? And if the pregnancy, the father was, I don't know, if it was incest, the baby would come out with a lot of birth defects, which there's a picture of the baby. Well, let me show you. Oh, shit. I can't. I'm just gonna put these over here. Fucking. I don't have to keep hurting myself. Oh. So this picture could have been taken in 1984 or 85, or 74 or 75, right? But it says December 80. That would have been when it was printed off. But the picture being so back so far, if you look, that baby has birth defects. This baby is, yeah. So from what I've gathered, there's this child, this child, and this child. The other Heather. Remember when she was, she's the one that said, "Oh my God, you're my long lost sister named Tanya, you were kidnapped," right? She kept going back and forth on dates. She said I was born in 1982. She also said I was born in 1974. She said 1981. She said 1981 too. So 1981, 1974. This one could have been born in 1982, and this could be the real Heather. Heather Enderton. Because you don't go from having red hair and blue eyes to a year or two later having brown hair, brown eyes. That doesn't happen. And the fucked up thing is, I know I won't get all the answers that I would love to get. Just like, I know she's still alive. I just don't know where. But I'm willing to bet that Miss Heather Enderton knows. And all I really want is prove who I am. Yes, is it who? Heather Enderton? Or Sue? Which one? Her maiden name was Stacy, Stacy. Her married name was Trimble, Tramble. But she supposedly died on October 10th, October 10th, 2005. Hello. Now, see, there's someone that reached out to me a couple of years ago named Cricket. Now, Cricket, let me show you, supposedly, but she's not, I was there. It was all for show. For me. She's still alive. I know for a fact she's still alive. I just don't know where she is. But like I said, I'm sure Heather Anderton does, because the whole wanting me to sign an NDA. I'm pretty sure Heather Anderton knows exactly where she is. Now, there was a woman that reached out to me by the name of Cricket a couple of years ago. Oh, excuse me. Now, let me see if I can find Cricket's thing. Because I know I blocked her. Because she just, started asking questions that didn't make sense. Why are you asking me these questions? Why is it any of your concern? Yeah, that kind of thing. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, when you have to block over 200 people on Instagram, there's that says something. All the way to the bottom. Okay. That's interesting. What else is interesting is when you can't find the account. Here we go. I'm a mom to 3 adult children. I miss all of them so much, and my heart hurts. Please contact your mom. We are only here for a short time. Three adult children. That's not suspicious, right? So, pull up her obituary. Now, this picture of her was taken in 1993, I believe. Bitch, you better fucking... Okay. This picture was taken in 1993. Now, when she passed away, supposedly, she was 419 pounds. She also had a trach when she passed away. Okay? Keep that in mind. So this was taken in 1983. She also had false teeth. This is her obituary. Okay, that's Sue. Then we go to photos. Then we have Cricket. Now, are these two the same person? You don't think it's the same person? You sure about that? Again, if this is taken years later, because this was taken in 1993, okay? If she was not wearing her false teeth, she had a trach. Look right there, it looks like something is poking out. Might be a trach right there. And this could have been taken, say it was taken in 2021, 2022. Yeah. This was taken in 1981, supposedly. I'm guessing 1981. Says Sue, 21 years old, Heather, 1.5 months old. So, this is taken probably 1981. Supposedly. See, I don't know who that is, because it's been a lie, the whole thing. So, 1980, 81, you know, we could even go back 79. We don't even know how old the baby really, what year it was or anything. Right? Because I was taken, if I'm Catrice, I would have been taken November of 1981. And then that's her in 1993. And then here's Cricket. Now, what we've established about this one is someone, Heather Anderton is using this picture on a fake profile. And I know this because of the voice. Sounds just like her. We've established that about a month ago. So, she's also the one that said I was her sister. And that her mother was in assisted living. She said a lot of things, but 1979, 1980, 81, so probably not even 81, I don't know. But right, 79 to 81, 1993. I think this is her. But I wonder if there's a way we could tell. Because, I do have, she did look like Jack. Does she look like she could be related to him? I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know about that. Does she look like them at all? That's my question. Because at this point, I know she faked her death, and I'm wondering if Sue's actually Cricket. Because also, damn it. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to go back to my block list. But it said on her profile that she was a mom of 3 adult kids that she missed dearly. I think that's her. You don't know what it's like that. Do you know what it's like to want to burn pictures so badly you know you can't? Because you need them for evidence? I'd love to have bonfire. I'll tell you what. I know she faked her death. And here's how I know. September 9th, I believe, was their anniversary. It could have been September 11th, one of the days. I think it was September 9th. I got a phone call, September 9th, 2005. Got a phone call from John, her husband, saying that she was really sick. That they were getting her ready to take her to the hospital. I said, take her to the hospital, do what you need to do, get her some help, whatever. It was like 2 weeks after that, my ex-husband and I, well, his father bought us train tickets for Amtrak to go back to Colorado from California. We ended up having to take a taxi from the train station to Greeley. So this was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. I don't think we even got there till it was like right before October. And when we got there, she was in a regular hospital room. Everything else. It was the next day that they found out that she had MRSA. The day after I saw her in person, kissed her, was up close to her, everything. Bitch. There we go. So I went up to her, I kissed her, everything, and she'd been in a regular hospital room, as far as I know, for weeks. The next day, they said that she had MRSA and they put her in ICU. That's when we all had to start wearing the gloves, the mask, the all of it, right? She was in ICU for a couple days, and then they told us that they took us all in a room, and told us that they had tried giving her 2 feeding tubes they didn't take, and the third one they would, if they did it again, they would have to put it in her groin. Now thinking about it, it was like listening to doctors like Joey Tribbiani when he was on Days for Lives. Putting a feeding tube in a groin. Yeah. So John and Shane left the hospital, and they wouldn't listen to John wouldn't listen to anybody when the doctor said there was nothing they could do, right? So after John came back to the hospital, I went into her room with him, and she was sleeping, and I knelt down in front of him, and I said it was selfish for us to, I loved her and I wanted her to be here too, but we needed to do what was best for her. And so he agreed. And now, here's the thing. She had a trach. She was on the ventilator or whatever, but I could read lips and everything. And we had normal conversations. She wrote and everything the whole time. Supposedly having big MRSA inside her body because she had a trach. She looked normal coloring, normal everything, normal conversations. Was mentally there. We told her what was going to happen. She was happy. She smiled. She was happy. She wanted me to sing to her. I tried singing. I ran out of the room. I called my ex-husband. He calmed me down. I was going to go back in and say goodbye. And when I was getting out the phone, they were coming. Everybody was coming in the waiting room. I said, I'll be back. I'm going to go say goodbye. And they said it was too late, that they already gave her the medication. She was already unconscious and they wouldn't let me see her. The next day, we went back to the hospital. She was in. They took her from hospice to a regular room. Or from the ICU to a regular room, having MRSA. Mind you, they had her in a regular room for weeks before finding out she had MRSA. So we were there for a couple hours that day, and Linda, John, the Linda and Susan's brother, the one I grew up knowing as my uncle, and Sean and his wife at the time said, you need a break. You're going to come to Wellington with us. The kids will stay with Johnny. They'll be fine. So we ended up leaving, and 4:30 the next morning, I woke up. I called my ex-husband. I said, has there been any news? And he said, no. She's still the same as far as I know. I said, okay. 6:30 that morning, 7 o'clock, we all woke up. Linda called the nurse's station to see how Sue was. They said nothing had changed, and while she was on the phone with the nurse's station, John, Sue's husband, called in and said she was gone. Evidently, he went down to have coffee, but when he was down having coffee, within that she was still alive. And then within that hour, she passed away, supposedly. So then we had to, we got up, we all took showers, we got ready. Wellington from Greeley is about an hour drive. We had to, so by the time we got to Greeley, by the time we got to the hospital, she would have been gone about 4 hours. I'm the only one that went up to her to say goodbye. I pulled my mask down. I kissed her. She was normal body temperature. She still had the trach in, still had the oxygen connected to the trach. She still had the IV. She was normal color, normal body temperature. I'm the only one that went up to her and said goodbye. We left the hospital, went back to the house. A couple hours later, we went to the funeral home. They told us she was there downstairs, and I said I wanted to see her, and every one of them in that room did everything to talk me out of seeing her. So I didn't go. The last time I saw her, she was in the hospital bed in the hospital. They even had me pick out her urn. This bitch is still alive. She faked her death when her son was 14 years old. Her son is now an addict, in and out of prison. And her husband, anytime he would be drunk, would tell me that I unalived her. But yet I have a recording of him stating that the reason he said it was because every time I would leave, she would start smoking again. She had quit smoking for quite some time. She was in assisted living and had been smoking. So how are you going to say it? You know what I mean? He changed the story around. Contradicted himself. Many times. So, yeah. I'm positive she's still alive. At least she was for a long time. I don't know if she is now or not, but I'm pretty sure she still is. Very well could be watching every time when I'm on here. I think Heather Anderton is actually her biological daughter. What's interesting is her middle name is Nicole, and Linda wanted me to name my daughter Nicole so badly. And Heather Anderton also said, isn't it weird, or isn't it interesting that they named me Heather and kept the name Heather for you? So, as far as where Sue is, I have no idea. But eventually, when everything comes out, I'm sure that whoever knows where she actually is, and that she's still alive, is going to turn her in to save themselves. And the reason Carol could hate her parents is because they protected Sue and let her keep me. I don't know. Instead of doing the right thing. So, What the fuck now? Hang on. Oh. Scams. Scams and more scams. That's usually who calls me, the scammers. Excuse me, because I don't give out my number. Because anytime I ever give someone my number, it ends up in the wrong hands. You know? And then I get calls from private numbers where they just sit and breathe on the phone. I'm good, thank you. I'm very sore still. So as of now, my plans are, get the surgery over and done with in February. Keep going with school. Get my plane ticket. Make sure I have the money for like an Airbnb for like 2 months. I have already been looking and everything else and pricing everything. Once I do the Airbnb, they will do they'll take the first month for the Airbnb when I book it, and then the second month will be when I stay the second month. Criminal justice. Ironic, isn't it? I've been working on my own case this whole time too. Actually, honestly, because of what I know now, I don't know if I want anything to do with the criminal justice system, but I'm going to keep going with it until I decide for sure, because they're all fucking... I don't trust law enforcement. I used to want to be a profiler for the FBI. I started studying criminal justice and serial unalivers and all of that before I was ever a teenager. I used to read encyclopedia, serial unalivers, watch the shows and all of that, and even like when I was a kid, they insisted, I would watch like Murder, She Wrote, all that with the family, with Joan and Jack. First 10-15 minutes of the show, alright, who did it? Who do you think did it? And I would tell them who did it, and I was always right. I am not Tanya. But I'm pretty sure I figured out who I am, because I've been getting roadblocks when it comes to trying to get help to find out if I'm Catrice Lee or not. I've been getting roadblocks after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. FBI, law enforcement, and that are that cult's lapdogs. So you can understand. That's why I've been getting all these roadblocks. That's how they got away with everything they have gotten away with, and that's why I was abducted. I was kidnapped, and I was trafficked, but then that family, I grew up in my abductor's family. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure now, because the suspect looks just like Carol and Sue with short hair. Carol and Bob were stationed over in West Germany, that area, in 1981, and Catrice Lee went missing November 28th, 1981, which was on her second birthday, which was 2 days after Thanksgiving that year. Carol and Bob could have, that family could have gone over there to celebrate Thanksgiving. 2 days later, taken meat because the suspect looks like Carol, but Carol was 5'2", and they think the suspect was a man. So, mistaking a 5'2" woman for a man is not really going to happen. But they might mistake a 5'8" woman for a man if she's dressed like a man. After finding out I wasn't Tanya, I asked ChatGPT for the list of missing girls that went missing around my age between 1979 and 1983, and there were approximately 5 or 6. There was Tanya, there was the girl named Michelle. She was actually just found. She was recently reunited with her family. There was videos on here of her mom being arrested. The one that kidnapped her was her mom. So yeah, she's been found. She was one I would say that was possible. So there was Tanya, there was Michelle, there was another little girl that went missing, but they believe her mom's boyfriend unalived her. They have not found her at all. Then there was another little girl that went missing from Mount Helena in Montana. Didn't look very similar. And the other one was Catrice Lee, who went missing November 28th, 1981 from West Germany, from a naffy. I have a birthmark in the same spot. I zoom in on her thumb, and I have a club thumb, and it looks like she does. I have a mole right here, and if you zoom in on her face, it looks like she has a mole. My children look, yeah. So, where is the fucking, okay. Catrice. This is the suspect. See, this is the suspect, right? Which looks a lot like Carol when I find the fucking picture. Okay, so we have the suspect. We have Carol. Now, I thought it was her because they were stationed over there at the time. However, Carol is 5'2". Even if she was dressed in her husband's clothing, that's most likely not going to confuse a 5'2" woman with a man, correct? However, if the suspect was about a woman that was 5'8", that might be a different situation. She's the one I grew up knowing as my biological mom, yeah. This is the suspect that took Catrice Lee. That's the woman I grew up knowing as my biological mom. And Catrice Lee was taken 2 days after Thanksgiving. And they could have been over there celebrating Thanksgiving with Carol and Bob. Looks a lot alike, doesn't it? I remember. Other than the fact that I've had 2 law enforcement officers confirm I'm not Heather, and then someone entwined with that group, that cult, because they were a victim, and then someone I've known for 20 years, or over 20 years, that was like a brother-in-law to me at one point, who's also part of that cult, and I did not know it, confirm I was abducted and trafficked. He's also supposedly works in a 3-letter agency for the United States government. So, let me see if I know it. Okay. So this is me. Okay. This, they said, was me. There's no way these are the same children. What makes me think I was abducted? Hell, I didn't know till October 28th, October 28th, 2024. You don't go from red hair and blue eyes to brown hair, brown eyes in a matter of 1 year or 2 years. Then, where is it? This is Catrice. This is me. This is Catrice before she was taken. That's my youngest daughter when she was little. Let's see. On this phone. This is Catrice's mom back after she disappeared. That's not, yeah, this is a lot for me. So, that's Catrice's mom. Do you know all I want is to prove who I really am? Be united with my real family? It's Catrice's parents. Back after she went missing. Yeah, as soon as, I gotta get over to the UK to fucking do it. Because FBI then won't fucking do shit here for me, to help me. Roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. I'm going over there as soon as I can. Well, you asked them that. How do I put this? I was kidnapped by the granddaughter of the leaders of a cult. The FBI, law enforcement, are their lapdogs. Freemasons, Knights of Templar, Scottish Rites, Eastern Star, that's the Illuminati. Yes, I have phone recordings between myself and FBI and police, and yeah. Nobody will do anything to help me. I gotta do it myself. I've even called overseas, and I've sent emails, I've called, there's law enforcement, there's many agencies over there that want to help me, but can't because I'm here. But once I get over there, it'll be different. So I gotta get over there. So I do have a GoFundMe I started, and as soon as I get the money up, I'm gonna go. As soon as I get the money for my plane ticket, I'm figuring out how long it's gonna take me to come up with the money on my own if I need to. So I have a pretty good idea of when I'm gonna be going. But come hell or high water, I've said this entire time, I'm gonna prove who I am, no matter what. Even if I have to swim across the ocean. So I gotta buy my ticket, I gotta buy suitcases, and get the Airbnb. And I'm gonna get the Airbnb for 2 months because I don't know how long it'll take for the DNA and everything else, and I gotta get set up over there. Once I get there, I gotta talk to the proper authorities and that kind of thing. So I don't know how long it's gonna take. So, but I've been looking things up, researching, finding out how much things are gonna cost when it comes to Airbnb and plane ticket and everything. So, yeah, I have to go to London. I have to go to London. I gotta talk to the military police. That's the thing. I gotta talk to the military police. Marvin's killing me. Oh. When when you finally you feel comfortable to tell your doctor the truth, right? And your doctor puts in the records everything normal when it comes to mental health except delusional thoughts. When you then take the evidence you have to your doctor and you show him the evidence, and he changes what he put in your file, that says a lot. Because it no longer says anything about delusions or anything like that. Now it states what I've said and everything else because of what I've shown him. He knew when he saw this picture that this was not me. You don't go from looking like this to looking like this in 1 to 2 years. It's been 44 years. Over 44 years. That Catrice Lee has been missing. And I am 95% sure that I am Catrice. I have an appointment with an eye specialist to find out if I've ever had eye surgery or if I have that eye condition. And that's shortly after I have, my surgery and everything. If I'm Catrice Lee, I was born in 1979. They gave me the birthday November 23rd, 1980. Catrice Lee's birthday was November 28th, 1979. I replaced this child after I escaped. I have the adoption birth certificate from 1990. Because in 1990, her sister and brother-in-law adopted me and her son. If it is her son. I'm starting to wonder if... This is going to sound bad. Biological, or are you talking about her kids? So, that's me. Oh my god. For fuck's sakes. So that's me. And that's his son. That's Linda, that's Ralph. That's Sue's sister. No, I don't speak to any of them. I fucking escaped in the middle of the night in my car in 2023 in January. You think I'm going to speak to any of them? Fuck no, but they do watch me on here. Come to find out. But let's go with... Well, let me show you Catrice Lee's sister. Yeah. I did. So let's crop this. Save. That's Catrice Lee's sister. Alright. This is her father. Yeah, I'm not taking my hair down, but I'm gonna show. So this is the age progression of Catrice. And there's me. So, yeah. What do y'all think? I don't just resemble the family, I look a hell of a lot like the age progression. And the kidnapper looks like the one I grew up knowing as my biological mother. Oh, for fuck's sakes, I hate that shit. Now who the fuck called me?
Congratulations! Just for calling in today, you may qualify for a $100 shopping reward voucher redeemable at
Oh, excuse me. So, I have been made out to be crazy, delusional, on drugs, all this shit. You name it, it's been said about me. Not so crazy, am I? And all I want to do is go prove who I am and be reunited with my family. It's been 44 fucking years. Over 44 years. Well, the name, I, even as a kid, I knew something was off because the name, being called Heather always felt weird. It's always felt weird, and I had some memories of certain things, but I did not know until October 28th, October 28th, 2024. When Heather Anderton said, "Oh my God, you're my long lost sister named Tanya, you were kidnapped." And for a while, gaslighting and everything else, I ended up chalking it up after so long to someone with no heart, no soul, which is true. Who's completely out for fucking rocker, which is absolutely 100%. I still have all the text screenshots of the text messages and everything. But the name Tanya still felt very familiar, and I couldn't figure out why, so I looked up missing children, early 80s. Tanya Michelle Williams came up. I look similar to the age progression of Tanya Michelle Williams to where that law enforcement thought I was her. Now let me show you Tanya. And I look like I could be her older sister's twin sister too, so that's but it came out DNA didn't match. So I kept looking. Because I had it confirmed by 4 people, including law enforcement, that I was not Heather. That girl, that this was definitely not me. So I kept looking. And I looked up children missing around the world, girls around that age, around the world. That's when I found Catrice Lee, who I have the same birthmark. I have a birthmark in the same spot as she does. The stubby thumb, also known as a club thumb. You zoom in on her picture, it looks like she has the same thing on the same right thumb. Yeah. You zoom in on her face, it looks like she has a mole right here where I do. Not to mention I look similar to the family, and the problems I've had, and she also has an eye condition called strabismus or something. So I looked up, things that I've had. I've never been told I've had that, but I've had my eye-hand coordination always been off. I can't catch a ball to save my fucking life. My depth perception, things like this is straight. I know it's straight because I'm paying very close attention, like the coffee table, but everything looks like it's at an angle to me. I can't help that. It's always been that way. Writing slow, reflexes being slow, that kind of thing, and plus migraines, constant migraines. And when I wear my glasses, when I get migraines, yeah, when you have that eye condition, that's normal. So all of that combined equals to that eye condition. So I'm going to go get to an eye specialist to find out if I've ever had eye surgery or if I have that eye condition. Because if I have had eye surgery, it would have been probably when I had my tonsils out. So I would have never known. So I don't know. But, yeah. Now, Tanya, when we thought I was her, someone had been going on a blog for Tanya Michelle Williams saying these horrible things about me. So, yeah, it's been, and I get recorded. I don't know if I still get recorded or not, but there's like over 200 videos on YouTube of ScamSlam who recorded me, trying to make me look like a scammer or bank or whatever the fuck it is, a liar, this, that, and the other. So that is Tanya Michelle Williams. And that's the age progression of Tanya Michelle Williams. And they thought I was her. I thought I was her. Because I look a lot like the age progression, right? But not as much as I do Catrice Lee's age progression. And with the everything else, yeah. No wonder they never would have found me, because bring me all the way to Bettendorf, Iowa. That's where I grew up for, far back as I can remember. After escaping. Bettendorf, Iowa, the Midwest. Nobody's going to look for me there, right? Especially when they still think that I'm somewhere over in the UK. They've been focusing on Germany, where Catrice was taken, and in England and that now, but I don't think they ever would have imagined her ending up in the United States, which would be why I would have never been found. Which, back then there was no social media, so they probably figured I would have never figured it out. I would have never been told. I would have never known, And even if I did figure it out, it would take me forever to prove it. And get, what better way to get people not to believe me if you have doctors deem me as crazy, delusional, get me on all these medications, right? One, to keep me under control, thinking that I would never leave, never get away, clearly, because that's what perpetrators think. Once they have their victim under control, they will never leave. Especially if the victim at a young age is beaten into submission, into believing that they didn't have a choice but to be there. My first memory of being with that family is I was running away. And I got up to the elementary school, which was not close by. It was, you had to go down the street and then up and then across a busy street. It was warm, and I was running away, and I got up to the elementary school, and Linda caught up with me in the car before I could get to the doors and meet me on the way back to the house. And then the next thing, I was taken into the house. It continued, and then the next thing I remember was being in the shower with the uncle. It's only a few seconds of a memory of that, thankfully. I was back at the back of the tub, standing there by the wall, and he was up by the faucet, standing there, running the water. And then the next day, I remember I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop urinating. And I don't know why I'm crying. I guess it's just one of those days. So, before they kept me as part of the family, I was trafficked. And they did try to sacrifice me. I remember what they did to the other children because I saw it. I remember being kept in a cage for a period of time. I think the only reason they put me in that family I'm not real sure, but I think it's because I was seen. Or something. I don't know. I don't know how many children Sue actually had. I don't know how many were unalived by her or by them, but I know I know many were. I think Joan kind of confessed to me where the remains would be. The problem is I don't know where I would have law enforcement start looking. All I know is behind an old church, there's an old well. She said it was dug up and they found baby bones and that in the well. And that the the nuns would get pregnant by priests, and then the nuns would have the babies, and then they would put them down the well. She said the well was dug up and they found it, but the problem is, I've looked, I cannot find any record of any old well being dug up in Davenport or Bettendorf or Moline, Illinois, or anything. So I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if that well was still there behind whatever old church it is. I know that, one of the houses that Sue and I were in, the room I had, there was 3 or 4 steps up to a landing. The room was a white room, had a canopy bed, and that was all in my room was a canopy bed, and some toys. And I had the biggest room in the apartment, which is another strange thing. I had the biggest room in the apartment. My canopy bed was here. Then there was the landing. You go up if you're sitting on the canopy bed at the foot of the bed, there would be the landing. On the left side, there would be the steps going up, 3 or 4 steps, then the landing, and then there was a door. I was told never to open that door. I opened the door. And it was a hall or a tunnel. And there were paintings, like religious paintings, on both walls. And I told my babysitter, who lived downstairs, about it, and she put her hair, got her old clothes on, put a do-rag, whatever on, and took a flashlight and went in, and it was like 2 hours later she came back. And she said there was no ending to that tunnel. But the whole way down there were paintings on both walls. The whole way. It was a tunnel. No ending to it. And that's also the room where I ended up with my scars on my upper inner thigh, my right leg. They told me the scars were from jumping on the canopy bed because I supposedly unscrewed the top so where the screws were sticking out. And I jumped on the bed 3 times and landed on it 3 times perfectly. I took a picture of the scars and circled them because they're very light on the picture. And I sent them to 2 different people, both in the medical field. And they said that those were most likely cigarette burns. So, yeah. That's how they were able to traffic me when I was with Sue. Was that room. Because they could go through the tunnels into my room and out of my room when they wanted. I have a very vague memory of getting up one night. And this was when we lived with the uncle. It was me, Sue, the uncle, and Brad. Brad was a baby. I took care of him. I remember I remember hearing them say I was sleepwalking. I remember I was very out of it, and I went and I grabbed Sue's can of Pepsi and I took a drink of it. They were all laughing. There were quite a few people. I remember hearing a lot of voices. They were all laughing. Oh, look, she's sleepwalking and this, that, and the other. I remember taking a drink of the Pepsi, and then that's the last thing I remember. But if I was sleepwalking, how would I remember it? More likely than not, I was drugged. Be right back. Hold that thought, don't go anywhere. Oh, Lord. Ow. Oh. Sorry about that. So, Linda had actually quit drugging me for a while until I brought up that memory that I had in, I think it was the end of November of 2022. I told her about the memory of running up to the person in the gray hat, with the gray suit and that. And she, when I said it and told her about it, she went pale and said it was my imagination, it never happened. Then it was a day or two later I started getting really sick and all that again. So I was just going to have my simulator removed because, I thought it wasn't working for me anymore. And so I decided I was going to go on vacation because I didn't know what was going to happen if I had it, once I had it removed. And I went to West Palm Beach and she tried bribing me not to go. But even the day I left, that morning she had offered me $600 not to go. And I said, look, I need to go. I need, this was going to happen when I get back. I need to go. The reason she didn't want me to go is because she knew that I would figure out that she was putting shit in my food. And then how I found out she was poisoning me. The day after I left, I felt great, was able to eat normal, do whatever. And then when I got back, because I told her when I was gone, we had an argument on the phone. Told her when I got back I was going to be moving out. I was going to look for a place to move out. And so when I got back, started getting sick again. A couple days after I got back, she made T-bone steaks. And I came out to get mine a lot sooner than usual, earlier than usual. And she just got done cooking. And they were all the same size, cooked the same way. She's like, oh, you're coming out to get yours now? I said, yeah. She's like, okay, that one there is yours, that one over there is Sean's. Sean Bainhurst's biological son. Didn't think anything of it. I'm like, okay. I don't like T-bone steak as it is. I don't know if it's her cooking. Could be. Could be. Because, after everything, maybe I do like T-bone steaks and don't know it. But I cut it up and I took one bite of it and it was extremely bitter. Thought my taste buds were changing because I quit smoking. So yeah, my taste buds were changing, and the fact that I didn't like T-bones as it was. I gave it to my dog, not thinking that anything was wrong with it, right? You're not going to suspect that the person you think is your mother, who's biologically your aunt or whatever, who's been your mother the majority of your life, would be doing anything to your food. So I gave it to my dog, who had vomiting and diarrhea for 48 hours after she ate it. That's how I found out she was poisoning me. And she tried so hard to get me to eat it. Like, not that I didn't eat, I cooked for myself. After that, I wouldn't take anything she offered me. She knocked, and I locked myself in the bedroom, and she would, do you want something from McDonald's? And no, I'm good. You want me to make you a burger? No, I'm good. Well, how about Bella? I'm like, no, we're good. Fine, fuck you, I'm just trying to be nice. Okay. So, after so long not eating anything she would offer me, I was drinking Sprite out of a 2 liter, and I thought that would be safe, you know. I kept it in the kitchen, not thinking anything of it. But one night I went out to filled my cup up and started drinking it and started feeling weird. That's when I knew. She put something in the Sprite. I had that feeling before. And so I just started getting ice and water out of the fridge itself. And one night I went out, one night the kids were there, Brad's kids, and I went to get something to drink, ice water, and she, Bella and Mason are out there, and they're like, why don't you drink some Sprite? Drink the Sprite, drink the Sprite. I'm like, no, I'm good, my taste buds are changing, I'm fine with water. Oh, why? Do you think you're being poisoned? And Bella goes, Mason, shut up! Like that. I'm like, okay. And at one point I did actually start recording, and I had the recording. I don't have it anymore. But it was... You ever been bullied by two kids? Like, relentlessly? It's bad. So, yeah. And then I ended up taking a picture of the documents before I left and actually took the letter. That talks about cooperative churches, and it was written by Reverend Kenneth Hayden, Joan's cousin. So, yeah. I'll never understand why they protected her when they hate her. Why they still protect her. Hello. So let me give you a recap. I don't think it was Carol that took me. I think it was Sue. Thanksgiving Day. Obviously, the only ones that celebrated are Americans, and Thanksgiving Day that year was November 26th, 1981. Carol and Bob being over there, that family could have traveled over there to spend Thanksgiving with Carol and Bob, which was pretty normal for them to travel to spend Thanksgiving with different, that happened over the years. However, Carol was thinner and she was 5'2". Now, even if she had dressed as a man, you're not going to think a 5'2" person is a man. You're going to assume it's a woman, right? But if the woman was 5'8", dressed in her father's clothes, might be different. Sue was 5'8". And the very first family photo ever taken with me in it, that was done professionally, I had short hair. I believe I was wearing glasses. I was wearing a sailor dress, and Sue had short hair and was not wearing glasses. Sue's the one that most likely took me. Heavier set, 5'8", could have very easily been mistaken for a man. So, especially if they went over there to celebrate Thanksgiving 2 days after Thanksgiving. You know. So it's possible they had seen me at some point, and somehow I honestly don't know. Maybe they went there looking for a child, and I just happened to be the one that they found. The easiest one to take at the time. So. Now just gotta get surgery and get the fuck over there as soon as I can. So, I am going to have to end this because I'm going to be leaving soon. My ride's supposed to be here at 1. It's 12:55 now, and they're never here on time. Let's find out. Doctor. Again. Pulmonologist. Supposedly 2 minutes. Supposedly 2 minutes. They'll call when they get here. So, when I went to the doctor yesterday, I brought up what he said in his notes and everything. I brought it all up. And then I showed him the pictures of everything, the documents. And when I showed him the stuff about Alta and Howard, and the one picture with her in it, with the 4 people and the upside down pentagram, he's like, well, who are they to you? You're not in those pictures. I was like, no. Those are the Howard and Alta I grew up knowing as my great-grandparents. And that's when he started realizing. And then I started talking to him, showing him the pictures and everything. And then he was typing the whole time. And then I said, you see this picture? He's like, yeah. I said, this is me. I was like, you're paying attention, right? He's like, yeah. And he looked at it for about a minute. And while he's typing, he looks back and he's typing. And I said, they told me this is me. And that's when he looked at it. As soon as he looked at it, he stopped typing. His mouth went open a bit, dropped his jaw a bit, because he realized that. And that's when he looked at it. As soon as he looked at it, he stopped typing. His mouth went open a bit, dropped his jaw a bit, because he realized that definitely was not me. Where he said anything about delusional thoughts, and he put in everything that I told him, and he said he wants me to see a psychiatrist. I said, why? So I can be put on a bunch of medication I don't need again? He said, no. So we can document it that there's nothing mentally wrong with you and this is real. That this really happened. I don't know why the hell I'm crying again, damn it. I feel like I'm picking up on somebody else's emotions right now. just gonna say that. Happens. But, yeah. Is there anything that I said where I was delusional, and anything about that is gone? He assured me it was, and I looked, it's all gone. And he was very detailed in the notes of that. So, and he also knows that, he also put in the notes, he's told me he wants me to go to get this, because you need to have a special, for this it would be a psychiatrist or therapist to confirm this really did happen. I'm not crazy, that kind of... Hang on. Hello? Alright, I will be out in a minute. Yeah, I'll be right out. Thank you. Bye. Alright, that's my cue. I gotta go. Alright. Ouch. I'll be back on later. I gotta go my rights here, so I hope y'all have a great day and give me a few hours. I'll be back. Thank you. I gotta go. Alright. Ouch. I'll be back on later. I gotta go my rights here, so I hope y'all have a great day and give me a few hours. I'll be back.